South Africa rugby is a problem, part 3. Now you may be wondering why I'm titling these videos like this. It's to compliment South Africa. It's to talk about why I think South Africa has a monopole almost over rugby and why other nations should really start copying the Boks if they want to see success. Now, by the way, I just want to give a shout out to anyone that's watching this video that may just be going through a tough time in their personal lives. Recently, life has been a bit difficult for me. I've had different sort of struggles with my personal life, my professional life, and look, I'm pushing through it, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one. So if you're going through a rough patch, personal life, maybe business life, keep going. Keep going, brother, because you're going to come out stronger, and it will all be worth it. Anyway, back to rugby. The reason I call these videos South Africa rugby is a problem is because they seem to be doing well. We seem to have, a really good chat going on in the comments, and we can talk about why South Africa is on top of the rugby world these days and how I think it should change. I think that it's important that it changes and that the Boks don't dominate forever. Because I've already explained that I think that it will be the case if nothing changes. If the Boks can keep their machine going and other nations just spectate, then we'll have a problem, because rugby will literally only be a big thing in South Africa and other nations will fall behind. Other nations won't be hyped about their rugby as much because they're just going to be behind, Is there a world where Italy, for example, become better than the Springboks? No. The thing is with rugby is that it's so concentrated within a few nations that are battling for the top spots that any other rugby nation is always kind of condemned to be behind, to be struggling. And I don't think that's a good thing, right? Maybe it's the same in other sports, but I just have this feeling that there's no way that any team besides South Africa, New Zealand, maybe France, England or Ireland can win a World Cup right now. Whereas in the Football World Cup, just an example, any team can win it. You feel like any team can just go and create this underdog story, right? But there's no way Georgia can win a World Cup. It's just too difficult. The gap between countries such as the Boks and Georgia is way too high. But South Africa are to be praised. They've deserved this. What a wonderful place I'm in, by the way. France is such a nice country. I am going to South Africa, by the way, to watch the Boks play against New Zealand. I will give you more information about that. I can't wait. I think that that's going to be the best test series that I've probably ever seen, to be honest. And look, to all the South African people watching, please tell me which game is probably the best to go to, etc. Like, I'm a tourist. I don't know much about your wonderful country. So if you can give me a few tips in the comments on sort of where I should go first, places to visit. I want to make it a memorable trip. I'm a big traveler. I've been to 49 countries. But anyway, that's not why you're here. The reason I want to see the Springboks in live is because I've got so much admiration for what the Boks have done in rugby. They're on the top of rugby, and it's not by mistake. We can talk about why they're on the top, but that's a subject for another video. The fact they're on top is quite scary for other nations who are trying to compete, who are behind. The example is quite clear. England, with a stacked team, got murdered by the Boks. Scotland, with a stacked team, got murdered by the B Boks, like by the second string players. Most nations at their strongest would go to South Africa, and even if they played against sort of the reserves, etc., would probably get a hiding. South Africa on top of rugby, and other teams just are letting it happen, if that makes sense. They're not. I don't see any other team like trying to understand why South Africa are on top, trying to get to their level. It's not necessarily because the players are a different breed, right? I don't think that the South Africans are necessarily born to be rugby players. They're not born heavier. They're not born stronger. There are a few things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about the intensity of training, the intensity of what rugby means in South Africa, that it's not at all a thing in other countries, right? I've played rugby in France, I've played rugby in England, I've seen people play rugby in South Africa, and it's almost like they're playing a different game. Rugby is taught differently in South Africa. You're taught to play with pride, with honour. You're taught to just act differently in that box shirt. You can even see that at club level. Guys like Andre Pollard, I have never seen him play well for his club compared to, I've seen him play well, but you know what I mean? When he puts the Bok jersey on, he doesn't mind dying. He's always like, his face is full of blood, etc. For the Bulls, he's been quite the average player this year. Some players, I also don't even watch them play club rugby. Like the guys in Japan, I don't watch the Japanese league. But when they play with the Bok jerseys, you understand why they're why they're playing. They are players that once they've got the green and gold jersey on, they transform. They go for it. There's something that other countries don't have. It's this transformative jersey, really. Maybe something's in the jersey, I don't know. But the fact that, you know, players who may not be too good with their clubs can come on and deliver some man of the match performances with the Boks tells you everything you need to know about what it means to play for South Africa rugby. I don't see that in France, for example, because in France, it's all about the club, because the club is, you know, the club pays your big salary, etc. The players want to play for their club. There was a story of Jack Noel. Do you guys know Jack Noel? He didn't go to the 2023 World Cup. Why? Because he signed for La Rochelle and he wanted to play for La Rochelle. He wanted to have a good season with La Rochelle. That is the club that's paying his contract. He was not interested in England. Jack Willis plays for Toulouse. Why does he play for Toulouse? Because they're the best club in the world, objectively. They are... Toulouse means almost more to him than England rugby does. And prove me wrong. Otherwise, he'd go and play in England, and he'd accept a pay cut, and he'd try and play for England rugby. There's no other sort of thing like the Springboks. If the Springboks introduce the same rule, I can guarantee you all those Jesse Creels, Dialende, all the top 14 South Africans, all of them would rush to try and sign for the Stormers, the Sharks, the Bulls, the Lions. Everyone would want to play in South Africa because playing for the Boks is the ultimate goal for these players. It really is. It's a lifelong accomplishment, really, and no other nation has that. You could argue that New Zealand does, right? Playing for the All Blacks could match it. I think it might even just be sort of the dream of most kids. Is playing for the All Blacks. You can't really compare it, but playing for the All Blacks must be special too. I think it's a sort of a dream for a lot of kids over there. But my point really so far in this video, and I hope I haven't lost you yet, is just that you can't beat South Africa, first of all, if you don't get rugby in your country to match the level of intensity, the level of sort of culture, the level of rugby hype, okay? Because when the Springboks play, first of all, they know that all the nation is watching, compared to England or France, where it's only a small-ish population of the country that's going to tune in. A lot of people do tune in, but nowhere near as much as the Boks. Is that a factor? Probably not. Maybe it's just me thinking out loud. It's just quite worrying, because I'm not going to do a part 4 of this series. I just want to finish on the fact that if things don't change, will rugby become pointless to watch? Is that too much of a sort of a big statement? If South Africa play against Georgia, what's the point of watching? Because there's no way Georgia are going to win. It's just not possible. If South Africa play against Italy, I mean, you could say that in any sport, I suppose, but there's not many. The reason I'm so hyped about South Africa and New Zealand is because I think that there's a chance that New Zealand could go and win a couple tests. I don't think they'll win 3 tests and win the series, but they might just win 1 or 2. If England played 4 times in South Africa, it would be 4-0. If France played in South Africa, it'd probably be 3-1 with a bit of luck. And if, who else? If Ireland played in South Africa, it could be 3-1 also. I think Ireland and France could get a test. But the only team that knows how to bother the Boks and knows how to go and give them a sort of a proper game are the All Blacks. So that's why this series this summer is going to be so good this summer for us Europeans. Now, let me know your thoughts on the Nations Championship also, because I find it a bit silly that South Africa are playing Wales. Like, come on. South Africa could play literally their under-20s and they would beat Wales. No disrespect to Wales, but rugby in Wales is fallen. It is no longer a thing, really. It has completely shattered itself to the ground. We can talk about it in another video if there are any Welsh people watching, but it's quite sad to see. And I remember growing up watching the Wales clubs perform, etc. But now, what's the point of sending a Wales team to South Africa? Like, Rassie Erasmus is seeing this as a training game. He's like, hey, let's try some guys. I'm not going to lie, when I saw the team sheet that Rassie put out, there are some names I didn't know about, like Vusi Moyo. Who the F is that guy? I'd never seen him. I had to literally type it on Google and saw that he played 58 minutes for the Sharks. And I was like, this guy is starting at 10. That means that Rassie has no pressure whatsoever. He doesn't care about the scoreline. He's just here to sort of do some scientific experiments. Now, no disrespect to the guy. I'm sure if he's playing, he must be a very good player. I saw some highlights of him at under 20, and he looks like he's a fearless young man. So all the best to him. That's going to be quite interesting. The only reason, and maybe is part of Ressi's plan, that he wants people to tune in because of that. I think if he put a sort of a Springboks A team versus Wales, you'd almost be like, well, what's the point of watching? Everyone would turn off at halftime. I mean, I would. What's the point of watching the second half when it's 63-3 at halftime? We need more games like that, by the way. More games like South Africa, New Zealand. I was making that point in the other video. If South Africa are to be tested, well, we need to test them. We need them to play against the All Blacks more regularly. We need them to play against France more regularly. I would die to see a series, ideally in France, because I think it would be quite special in France. Sort of 3 home games, you know, one in Paris, one in Bordeaux, and one in Toulouse or something, of France versus the Boks. And then maybe that in the summer, and then a 3-test series in October when it's summer in South Africa, down in South Africa, play 3 tests in South Africa, sort of a 6 games, and who can finish on top? Probably the Boks. But wouldn't that be sort of peak entertainment? Is that one way of making South Africa sort of have to maybe uncover more problems that South Africa have? Because right now it seems like they're running without many issues. It seems like South Africa are in control of their rugby. One thing they got exposed with against Scotland was just their defence. You know, these small sort of cut passes from the forwards. It's not normal to see locks run through the defence like that. Or Tuipulotu, Tuipulotu is such a good player. He broke the line a few times. I was quite surprised at that, because it doesn't justify you guys saying it was a B team. Like, the defence was not it really on last Saturday from the Boks. Maybe other teams will look at that. Maybe New Zealand are cooking something. I don't think Wales will be able to cook much. But hey, you know, there's been bigger upsets in sports. What are the odds that Wales beat South Africa, guys? Tell me. I'd be stunned. It would make the headlines, and I'd probably have to delete these 3 videos talking about South Africa as a problem. Anyway, the Boks make a lot of South Africa happy. I think they make a lot of the rugby world happy too. I am so happy to see them doing well, because it's not like a random country. South Africa is a country full of history, full of struggle in recent times, and I think it does them a lot of good to have this success in rugby. If I was South African, I'd probably be over the moon. So good on you guys, and I hope that you keep dominating. And I don't think you will stop dominating when I see the club, the youngsters, how they're sort of literally brought into the game. They're trained as machines. The intensity of training. Can we talk about like how bad youngsters want to be Springboks, how bad they want to play rugby, that it's also I've seen kids take drugs. I've seen doping being quite a serious issue in South Africa, because people almost have nothing to lose. It's like, I might as well take that drug if it gives me an extra chance of making it, you know, as a pro in rugby, because if I'm not a pro in rugby, what else am I going to do, kind of thing. Let me know what you think again, guys. You know, I like taking these videos. I like doing one takes. I like talking about stuff. And you may think it's silly to talk about things that you don't know. No, I've got an opinion. It may not be right. That's why we're here to comment. That's why we're here to have a chat. And everyone that comments respectfully, I respond to. I have not responded to a single comment. If I don't respond to your comment, then it means that you've said something that really I didn't like. Boys, thanks for watching. Let's go Boks. And I hope that you guys beat Wales. And I hope that the series against New Zealand is going to be as exciting as it seems on paper right now. See you soon.